Unscripted, unshackled, uncouth.
What you're about to hear is for more mature audiences only.
It's Miguel and Holly, Uncensored.
Hello, welcome to a Friday edition of Miguel and Holly Uncensored. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. Make sure to check out our other podcast, Miguel and Holly Full Show, Miguel and Holly Queen City Confessions. And don't forget, if you leave us a review on iTunes for Miguel and Holly Uncensored, you got to leave a review, but you can leave a rating, but you have to leave a review as well. Once we get to 500, we will give away some sort of prize, like a Amazon, or we'll just Venmo somebody like $50 or something like that.
That's easy. Just
to say thank you. And I know I've had some people that have said, well, I don't have iTunes, I have an Android, or I listen through Spotify. And that's cool. That's fine. Everyone will be eligible. We're just trying to get iTunes and wherever else you listen that do reviews.
Oh,
to get
that's
us that.
true.
Yes. Yeah.
I got it. Yep.
So we have one from Wednesday from Maggie Nut.
Oh.
One of my favorites. She said, been listening to Miguel and Holly since their Tampa days, followed their journey to North Carolina, and love the addition of producer Kelvin. Don't miss an episode. They continue to entertain and make me laugh while delivering packages all day in Tampa. Keep it up. Don't stop. And then Horse Girl 257.
I love people's online names.
I love
Can I
it.
just tell you, like,
Love
as
it.
someone who has sort of like a brand as an online name, not a brand, but like, it just always floors me to see like the different names. I just really enjoy finding out what people's names are. Having said that, go ahead, Horse Girl. I
really
it.
want to be called Horse Girl. I want to call Horse Boy.
No.
Well,
Why did you do that?
You gotta get a little.
Don't do that.
You gotta get a few.
What?
You gotta get a few. What is it called? Studs.
I thought you were gonna say inches. You did it. You went
Referrals.
wrong.
That's the word I was looking for.
Ah.
Referrals.
Oh.
From Horse Girl. Have been a long-time listener. Love you guys. Your show is awesome, and your podcasts are fun, inspiring, emotional, and real. Makes my week. Thank you.
Thank you, Horse Girl.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that.
That makes me feel so good because it's like people like you, like you're part of us. Like you get it, right? Like not everyone is going to get what we do. And obviously those people are not listening, but like you are here because we're all in the same boat.
Real recognize real.
Yeah.
Here's another really cool one from Mimi727. Best podcast around, subject line. I cannot say enough about how much I love this podcast. The topics are engaging. Miguel, Holly, and Kelvin are amazing and relatable. When the show moved to North Carolina, I thought a part of me was going to die, LOL. But having this podcast made it feel like they never left. I'm so thankful I have them to listen to, and I'm so proud to be a part of the Platypus Posse. Platypus!
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Shout out.
So really cool.
So sweet.
Yeah. Before we get into a little more seriousness, I wanted to start the podcast off, since we were so heavy last time, with something a little frivolous. Where's my script? I have so many.
You said you want to do something frivolous?
Yes, just to start off with.
Got it.
Got it.
I have so many screens in this place sometimes.
Yeah,
I get lost when I'm trying to look for stuff. Oh, here we go. Let's play a game of Would You Rather?
Would you rather? Frivolous. It's Friday, frivolous.
Hey. Would you rather? Would you rather? Would you rather?
Okay.
I just looked at the question. This is not frivolous.
Oh, Jesus.
Is it dark?
It's probably dark.
Oh, God.
Heavy and
Great.
frivolous. Yeah.
So I grabbed these from a radio friend, and so I don't look at them because if it's another radio person, they've been vetted, so I don't have to like go through them and just to make sure. And then I looked over and I was like, oh God. Would you rather
Oh my God, here we go.
eat your dead friend or kill your dog and eat it when you are marooned on a lonely island?
That's stupid. That is the stupidest ass question.
What's the point of the first question?
What is the point
Just
of the
to
first
do
question? Like, right, like, am I marooned on both questions? Like, someone
Right.
just wanted to make this a fucking awkward question. I'm sorry.
No,
for
I mean, I
saying
think,
it doesn't even make any sense.
well, no, they're saying you are on a marooned, lonely island in
Okay.
both
For
situations.
both.
Oh, okay.
So, which
Okay.
one would you rather eat your dead friend or kill your dog and eat it? If you are marooned on an island.
Well, I'm assuming, like, okay, I'm gonna assume. I don't know.
No, I think I don't know. Every time I say something about my dog, I get attacked.
Is anyone watching the new season of Yellow Jackets?
No. Why? Did they cover this?
Yes, actually.
Oh,
Yes, they
Oh
do.
Lord.
Did either of you watch Yellow Jackets? No,
I can't
Oh.
remember what that one's about. I mixed it up with
Yellowstone.
either that or isn't there one that's like hornets or like wasps or something? Some other stinging insect.
Oh God.
Wow.
No. I don't know. Never mind. Just never mind. I'm on one today.
I think I'm gonna
No.
choose my dog. I'm not a cannibal. I'm sorry. And at least the dog's like an animal.
Yeah.
I'd feel bad. Of course I'd feel bad, but I don't want to eat my friend.
Like, how long has the friend been dead for? Also, like then you have to live with the fact that you just ate a person. But I mean, you also have to live with the fact that you killed a dog.
Right.
But just, I don't know that I could eat a
Oh, my
person.
poor
I don't
dog.
know.
It would
But
probably.
then what if you killed your dog and it was the only thing you had left to talk to? But
Right.
you could go find a volleyball and call it Wilson and that'd be
It's true.
fine.
Wilson.
To me, I feel like I would probably do the friend because at least if you have a dog, like they can help protect you. Like in like with any of the things that are out in the wilderness. But if your friend is
probably
dead,
not, though. The
your
dog
friend
probably
is
can be like,
dead.
bye.
Right.
I don't know.
A lot
But
of people are
think-
are eating their friend.
Can't you,
Go
like,
off.
Doesn't
Yeah.
something happen to you, or is this just like scary movie lore? Like, can't something bad happen to you when you eat people? Like, you lose your mind, or you get the shakes, or something.
I mean,
bad
I think that's if you're
happens.
like doing it a lot. Like, I don't know if it's this one time, just to sustain you. Like if you're so spoiler alert, for the show Yellow Jackets.
Okay.
The show takes place in the 90s, and these girls are going for a soccer championship, and their plane crashes, and we don't know where, but it crashes. But the show goes from current day to past, to them crashing.
Yeah.
And so the first season dealt with that, going back and forth to past and now the second season, because they alluded to the fact in the first season that they were cannibals at some point when their plane crashed, but they
were
never
already cannibals.
No, when they crashed and
They
landed
became
on this
cannibals?
island or wherever they are.
Mhm.
But they never really spent time on it. Well, this current season,
They're like, oh, we didn't mention it, but now we need to get into it.
so like literally Abe and I normally at night, like we'll eat dinner and like we're watching a movie or a show, and like we didn't know they were going there for this one because they hadn't. I literally like put my food down and I was like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
But in that, spoiler alert, the person that died, one of the girls died because she accidentally slept outside, and on this island it was like wintertime, and so her body was frozen, preserved. So they kept her in like a storehouse or something. Things happen. They decide they need to get rid of the body, so they're going to burn it, sort of old school style. But then this is where like I'm not caught up fully on it yet. But like something happens where snow off of the top of the cabin where they're staying comes out, like it falls on top of her.
Yeah.
And so as the fire's going, and so something happens with the body where it's cooking like meat to where it's edible. And so all the girls lose it and start eating the girl, but they like show it.
Okay.
And I was like, This is too much,
girl.
That's a
So,
lot.
I
That's a
would say
lot.
so. Anyway,
Mm-mm.
they did it once. I don't know if they're gonna do it again, but I say all that to say that they did it once and no one had any adverse effects. But if someone wants
Oh.
to Google it, I'm not Googling it on my computer.
Work is gonna come in and be like, at
Right.
10:28 a.m. on 5/12/23. Why were you Googling
Right.
what happens when you eat people? Like,
Yeah.
that's not gonna look good in court. I'm just saying. Are you Googling it right now on your phone?
No, sorry. There's some stuff going on right now. I'm dealing
Oh
with.
no. Are
It's
you
fine.
okay?
No, everything's fine. Everything's good. Everything's good. All right. Here's another. Would you rather?
Just don't want to do with that.
Yeah,
Like,
let's
I
move
just
on.
feel like a type of way.
Everybody would
Why
eat their
would
friend
you-
though, apparently on the chat. So
Apparently so. Like, I don't want to be stuck with y'all people. You don't eat me.
Wait. If you're watching this right now on Facebook or YouTube, who would you eat out of the three of us?
No.
Me, Holly, or Kelvin? I would just have you know. Look at these luscious thighs, girl. Yeah.
Nice and buttered, mama.
I just want
I
to
got
let you
nice
know.
bosoms.
You don't want to eat me. You don't want me.
Holly ain't got no gluten inside of her, so
I got a nice little
No.
belly.
I'm like, you don't want this mess. No.
Got nice lips too.
All right.
I'm sorry. Someone gonna eat your lips?
They're gonna have to.
Are we eating all parts and pieces?
I
Or are we
mean-
just
I mean, on the
like,
show,
cutting
they-
out a piece of thigh meat.
I mean, it's sort of like a pot roast. You just let it simmer and it just comes right off.
I can't move on. Move on. I don't want
The
to.
whole podcast about cannibalism.
I just feel like I don't. What
Well,
I'll
5
say
stars
is that
for this shit.
in a bad situation, you're gonna do some shit that you probably thought you weren't gonna do. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Would you rather live the life of a king with no family or friends, or live like a vagabond with your friends or family?
Absolutely the latter. What's the point of living like a king if you don't have anyone to share it with? Oh no, Miguel, don't. Miguel said,
Bitch, I want to be rich.
Fuck you back!
I feel like you'd enjoy it for a minute until you become extremely depressed and sad, and then you don't
lonely.
want to continue life. It's just the sad
you
truth.
don't think you have like normal human emotions that would come into play where you're surrounded, like you're Scrooge McDuck and you're literally just swimming in money?
So I guess it depends for me on like, what does this look like? Like, because obviously I just, on the show we talked about this morning, I finished Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton story. And spoiler alert, part of that tells the story of Queen Charlotte on the Bridgerton show, who I think one of the lines that one of the characters says is that she's the loneliest woman in England because, and also, Holly, I forgot to mention, but someone texted us in, the show also deals with mental health as well.
I'm really interested, and I feel like I should somehow wrangle my person into watching this. I think he would probably like it, but it's gonna
100%.
be like I'm gonna have to like really, I think I'm like 10 for 10. Every time I get nervous to recommend something and then finally I work it up and I'm like, I provide basically like courtroom documents as to why we should watch something. And then he basically is usually like, all right, we'll give it a try. And then he fucking loves it. So I'm going to have to prepare my court documents.
Well, like, it's so worth it. But it deals with mental health as well. But in it, like, she is, because of what happens with the king, I don't want to spoil it, basically lives most of her adult life as the queen, but with no one around her except for her subjects.
Okay.
I don't want to be poor again, girl. Like, that's just trying, because yes, like, you have your friends and your family, but like, you are trying to every waking moment is not spent enjoying each other. It's spent finding housing, finding food. If someone gets sick, y'all are trying to figure out how to do that. And so yes, you're with your friends and your family, but like, you're not getting to enjoy any of that time because you're just trying to cover the basic necessities of life. Whereas if I'm a king and I'm by myself, like, at least I know I have my health and I can go hiking, or, you can live a life of leisure and it won't be pleasant and you'll be alone, but at least you have the basic necessities covered.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from for sure. I see it. Calvin?
Vagabond. It's just of course I'd like to be a king, but I just get bored after a while. I don't want to know the repercussions of, I don't know, a year being alone. A year, 2 years. We saw what the pandemic did to people. Like, imagine that, but just every single year. It's not for me.
I mean, and I guess if I had to ask like the person writing this question, like, can I at least like talk to the people around me? Like Queen Charlotte talks to Brimsley, who has to follow her around. Brimsley!
I mean, then
He can't
yes.
talk back. He don't talk back though,
Oh,
except for now that they're older. And then she'll be like, so Brimsley, what do you think? And then he's quiet for like 20 seconds and he's like, well, madam, you are the most excellent queen, but...
Oh.
And then he gives like a little bit of truth and she's like, Brimsley, go outside the door and don't look at me.
Brimsley.
Brimsley.
Like, of course the name is Brimsley.
Brimsley. Oh, I'm so in love with that show. All right, here's the
I need to
final would
watch
you
it.
rather for today.
Okay.
Would you rather marry the person you hate the most or let him or her marry the friend you love the most? Would
I
you
need to
rather
really visualize this?
Right, I know, me too. Would you rather marry the person you hate the most? So think about the person you hate the most. Okay. Or let him or her marry the friend you love the most. So letting the person you hate the most marry the friend you love the most. So think about your best friend, the person you hate and your best friend. Would you want them to get married? So basically, would you take it on yourself to marry the person you hate, or would you subject your friend to marrying the person?
I would never marry the person I hate, ever.
So you would let your friend do it?
Yeah, 100%. And then I hang out with my best friend, us time. And when I'm done, you go back to that piece of crap. That's what I would do.
Holly?
Yeah, I'm not doing it. I will be a support system for my friend. But like, I spent so much of my life, because I feel like 10 years ago, I would have answered this question differently. I would have been like, I can handle it. I can handle that. I don't want to put another person out. I can handle marrying someone I hate. I will find a way through it. And by the way, I would. I would. I know I could. And I would figure it out for some reason. Like if there was another reason, like if I were to get $1 million, maybe more than $1 million, but like whatever it was, I could do it. But having done so much work and knowing so much more about myself now, I would not choose to do that. And I would absolutely throw my friend under the bus. I'm so sorry. But I would try to figure out a way to help you. But like, no.
So my person who I hate the most is a politician.
Like,
not going to say any names. But one of my best friends who probably hates this person the most, but I think it would be entertaining to see them married.
You're a bitch.
So I would choose for them to marry each other, but then I would like contact Bravo, Netflix. It would have to be a reality show to see this politician I dislike the most, and to see one of my best friends who probably hates that politician the most, but who's very vocal about it, and seeing the two of them and having it on TV. I think it would be very entertaining.
It's like a new version of The Odd Couple.
100%. That's probably what I would do. All right, so there's an episode of Would You Rather.
Would you rather?
So Holly,
questions.
I know, right?
All of them.
I know, that was very off-putting. I thought we were looking for frivolous.
I thought so
fun.
too. I didn't know. I just pull it out, girl. Mother's Day is this weekend, and Holly, you wrote a very touching, relatable letter about losing your mom, and about just do you want to sort of like walk through? You don't have to read it, but just sort of for those of you that didn't get a chance to hear the show this morning, to just sort of like explain the thoughts, because obviously on the air it's like, here's the letter, let's play 2 songs and we're on to the next thing. So we didn't get a chance to like go in depth a little bit more about it.
I couldn't say anything too. I was like, love you, Holly.
I know.
That was it.
It was like, not, that's all it should have been, because I typed it out. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs, single spaced, and I was like, I shouldn't do this. but I'm gonna go ahead and do
No,
it.
it's fine. On timing, it was fine.
It actually worked out on timing. It
Mhm.
was just for it, behind the scenes. Like I think it was like 4 minutes about.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it
or
was.
less, or but just about 4 minutes, and I was like, okay, I'm doing it, and it's relatively okay on time. And I was like, they better not say nothing.
No, it was 4 minutes.
Imagine
Yeah,
we're
you're
like-
good.
Yeah, I know, because then I was like, it's gonna go too long, and then someone's gonna not want to tell me that it went too long because it's so personal, but they're gonna have to be like, in the future. But I think it was okay. Anyway,
Can I just say real quick about like, so behind the scenes, because obviously we're all in different rooms, and so we're on camera, and so usually like I'm the one keeping time when we're doing a segment, and when we're doing confessions, but we're on camera, and there are times when Holly and producer Kelvin are talking about, and I'm looking at the time, and I'm like, fuck. But then on the camera, I don't
you
want to be
can't-
like,
you can't be like,
wrap it up.
Oh my god, how do you do it?
So
you just
you-
start talking.
no. So usually what I'll do is I'll
Play the music.
play the music, but then I'll do it really loud.
But Holly
I'm
will
like,
still keep
"Eh."
going. Holly
I'm
still
like,
Holly doesn't give
anyway.
a fuck. She keeps going until that thought is finished. And I'm
Well,
like,
I'm not. I'm like, I can't.
always.
In the past, I have been like, and that's it. Like, I don't know how to wrap it up. I just stop talking. So I'm like, let me just finish my thought. Whatever. And like, I get so into it. I told Miguel today, I love confessions. Is my favorite segment. I think I love it. Just give me the wrap it up on video. I don't
know.
care.
No, but that's why I'm just like,
And then it was just crazy.
I know. I do know that that's what's happening, but I don't know how much. Maybe you were like 20 seconds. No, it's like right now.
No.
Okay.
yeah.
Oh,
Or
shit.
usually what I'll do is if y'all are going, and then I'll just be like, yeah, I know. Yep, I know. So it is 9:29.
I'm trying to just make good radio.
I
Damn it.
That
Damn
is
it.
like one of the things. That's probably the things I hate the most about my job is that like I have to keep time on what we're doing. And I'm like, damn, this is really good. But I'm like, we got to be in the commercials right now. So I
I
gotta.
think Kelvin's got to start doing that because that's what I think producers are supposed to do that. And Miguel, it takes you out of the segment if you're doing like we're having a little planning session.
I know, right?
behind the scenes, but, like, I
I
think
could.
Kelvin
Tell me
should-
what time and I'll press
I
that
think that
button.
might be a good thing for Kelvin to start doing.
Yeah, we can start transitioning because I think that's what we got into when Scott, our last producer, for those of you that are new, and we're in Tampa, when we switched roles where he was like pressing all the buttons and I wasn't anymore.
Yeah.
And so he would just sort of be like, but he was always shy about it because he didn't want to make us mad.
Difficult.
So he'd be like,
he'd be like,
I'd be like,
I'd be
bitch, tell
like-
me to shut up.
I know.
I have
I'm
no
Go
problem.
ahead and do it. And he'd be like,
I have no problem.
You have
Give
no
me the
idea.
permission, obviously. I would never do it out of disrespect.
I
Like,
think
tell
we
me
should
when
probably
you
do
need
it.
me to.
One of these days, you're gonna have to start running the board again too. Just
That and social media and pulling the show.
Oh,
Let's
thanks.
do it.
Mhm.
Let's do it.
thanks.
Sure.
Mhm, all the things.
Mhm. Yeah.
One of these days.
Anyway, you want to talk about something else? Well,
So,
Mother's
yes.
Day letter.
Your mother, yes. The letter.
Yes. Okay. Oh, so I pulled it up, and it was difficult. I typed it out, and the way I typed it out was just real. Like I didn't type it out thinking about, oh, I need to say something particular on the air about this. I just typed it out, and then I went back and read it, and I was like, I added a couple things just for context. So like that after I wrote it, then I was like, well, I don't want it to seem like a horrific type of way, and there are some things that I want to make sure are known. So I started with just, the fact that it's weird. That's what I started with. I said, it's so weird that you're not here. Dear mom, it's so weird that you're not here. And then I talked about how she literally became a different person over the course of the last 5 years because of the brain tumor and because of the surgery, and then the second brain tumor and then the second surgery, and like the dementia that had been there all along, maybe even before the first surgery, because she always was the one that thought something was wrong. And I was like, I didn't want to deal with that. I was like, no, nothing's wrong. It's fine. So I just kind of put that into a paragraph. And then I talked about how I'm angry about how I learned things about myself in therapy that I was the toxic one. I'm like Taylor Swift with Antihero. I'm like, it's me. I'm the problem. I betrayed people. I betrayed myself. I was a bad person. And I learned now why that happened. And it's a lot of the things that happened in my childhood that I thought that I had this perfect idyllic childhood. And that turns out I did not. Not because my mom was purposely malicious, because so many of moms aren't, but because this is just what generational trauma looks like. But I didn't get a chance to talk to her about that because by the time I recognized it, she was already not the same person. And I did try a couple of different times. Sometimes it felt like she just sort of nodded, and another time it was like she actively admitted like, "Yes." What was that time that she was in the bathroom and I was saying something, not like peeing. She was just standing in the bathroom and I was saying something from outside the bathroom, and I don't remember what it was, but, it was some part of, like, the stuff that the healing stuff that I had done in therapy, and brought it up, and I'm like, "I think that you did it this way, and this is what happened with me," and she was like, "Well, yes, I do it that way, but, like, that's the way you do it," and it was just like, she doesn't even know what she's saying, but she is too far gone, so it's like, it sucks because you don't get to talk about it with that person,
Mm.
and see a rational response. But then I also allowed room for, like, I know she did her best. And, we talked about this after the fact, off the air, but, back in those days, in the 80s, mental health was not a thing.
Right.
Like, if nobody wanted to talk about anything, and even if you did desperately need mental help or, like, a therapist, they called them shrinks and quacks and, like,
Mhm.
it was made fun of, like, "Why can't you deal with your stuff? Oh, you
You're
need therapy?"
crazy.
Yeah, it was like you were crazy. Only crazy people went to therapy.
Mhm.
I'm not. Nobody wanted to be crazy. So anyway, I allowed room for the fact that, she really did do the best she could, and she did break some generational traumas. She was beat so badly by my grandmother, and there is a line of sexual abuse that is in my family as well, that is carried down through generations, and she did none of that, and she never hit me ever, like, she stopped that,
Mm.
and so without even really knowing what she was doing, she was a cycle breaker in that aspect too. She broke those horrible patterns. Um, but she knew, like, she didn't wanna be that type of mom, and so what she didn't know is all the mental stuff and the people pleasing and the codependency and the enmeshment and the stuff that I'm only just learning about, and I think America is only just learning about, so it's not like I it's a weird spot because, yes, did she cause those mental and emotional issues within me? Yes. But was it, like, her fault? No, it wasn't her fault because that's what happened to her, but, she never took responsibility for those things either. Like, it's not your fault what happens to you, but once you find out, like, you have to be responsible for yourself. So I allowed for that in a paragraph, and I said, um, how much I do miss her and how hard I cry sometimes, like, and it takes me by surprise, and it just takes my breath away, like, sometimes in my head, I'm like, is this real life? Like, am I doing this? Am I going through the motions of crying hard? And then I'm like, why am I overanalyzing crying? Like,
Mm.
get your shit together. Just allow yourself to feel your feelings. And it happens lately when I go into her bedroom upstairs. And that's the other thing. She's up there, like, she's all her stuff, and it smells like her. And it's also now a little musty because no one's really been up there for like a year. And so it smells like her. And then I walk in the closet and I'm like, she just walked in this closet and folded these towels, and then she wasn't
Mm.
there. So I cry, like, it's just really like, it affects me really bad when I go upstairs. And then I'll come down and Maya's like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "I just was upstairs," and she's so like, she's always like, "Don't go up there." And I'm like, "No, I got it." I know, but sometimes if I feel like I need a good cry, I'll just walk upstairs and that. But I also ended with saying that I hope that she's at peace because so much of my life was spent trying to make sure she's okay. Like, I felt like that was my job.
Mhm.
And I just felt like I was bad at that job. I was good at it in high school, I thought, because I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know that she was leaning on me to provide emotional and mental support, like a parent necessarily shouldn't do with a kid. Um, so I was parentified, and I thought that if I, like, bobbed and weaved and handled her emotions, and I would be safe, right? I'm learning this from therapy, and then I had a period of about 10 years where she was still busy with other stuff. I was doing other stuff, and I was sort of free. And then this culmination of things, and I think I've talked about it before. You know, my stepdad died, my brother went away to college. She had nothing to do and no one to take care of, and she was completely lacking purpose. And I think she went into a pretty deep depression, but I didn't live at home then, so I didn't know. And then in that exact same year, I got pregnant. And so then she made her new purpose me. And then that was where we really got into trouble. I don't know that I would have even had some of these baggages that I carry if she wasn't just with me for the last 10 years. So I went into that because I feel like I was always worried about her well-being, and I would always be able to like breathe easy when like at the end of the night, Maya was all taken care of and my mom was all taken care of. And I'm like, okay, all the people that need me are good for the night. So like, so I just hope, and I think it is this way. Like when you ascend out of your body and your soul goes to wherever a soul goes, I think and hope that she is soothed and loved and cared for. And that's what she needed. She just needed someone to just care. So I ended with that. And I actually had a fan member, I think from Tampa, reach out to me and ask for the letter. And she was like, I know you said it was very unique to you, but there were so many things you said that I related to. If you wouldn't mind, I'd really like if you sent me the letter. So I did. I sent her the letter, and I have a couple more messages that I haven't gone through yet, but I thought, I don't know how well this is going to connect with a large majority because I happen to be also in a Facebook group called the Dead Moms Club that our soul worker Stacy has kicked off and started. And even though the name is kind of like, oh my God, like, why would you say that? But it's about, those of us who have lost our moms. And Scotty's in it, our old producer who lost his mom a couple of years ago. And there's other people obviously that all have lost their moms. And sometimes it's like I'm dealing with so many complex emotions, and overwhelmingly a lot of what you see with people who have lost their mothers is just deep sorrow and grief, and that's what they express. So when I was a little worried to do the letter because I was like, I'm speaking from a pretty narrow point of view where I have some anger and frustration, and not just I miss you. And I didn't want to certainly offend the people that have also lost their mothers, same boat, but their only feeling is, I wish she was still here. And I'm so sad because that's a whole different thing. And I imagine if you're in that boat and you hear me, you're like, get the fuck over yourself. So I felt a little nervous to read it, but I am glad to, have connected with some other people who are feeling complicated.
Right. And I feel like most people understand that everyone has a different relationship with their parent, no matter what it was, or you can't expect for everyone to feel the same way that you feel about your parent or with anything in life, because we're all different and we all look at situations differently, and we all are coming at it with, I'm 37, Holly's 41, Kelvin is 29. Each of those years of experience, none of us know what all of the things that culminated to this point in our lives that make us have this viewpoint. And so to expect for someone to have the exact same viewpoint as you is absolutely ridiculous, because everyone's experience is completely different. And so that's why I encouraged you, if you felt comfortable, to do the letter, because I felt like there are so many people that have complicated feelings and relationships, when their mother or someone close to them passes away. And you are really great at putting those emotions into words. And that's why, like, I was hoping something like that would happen, where someone would be like, you've been saying exactly what I have been feeling, but I wasn't able to put it into words. That's one of the things that I love about.
Writing is one of my favorite mediums.
That's one of the things I love about this show and doing radio. When people ask me, what do you love? And I say connection. But when I say connection, to me, when people say you were able to put into words what I've been feeling, but I was never able to say, to me, I'm like, that's a win. Like, I don't care if they're like, well, literally on the ratings, 0 people were listening, but that one
God,
person
isn't
said
that the
I
worst?
connected.
Like, that's the
Yeah.
worst. As a quick, actually, speaking of like the Radio Insider, it's like when literally no one was listening, like
Right.
per our ratings system. Like, it looks like not one human being
Mhm.
heard what we did.
Mhm.
And it really is a little bit demoralizing, even though, we're obviously someone's listening,
Mhm.
but it looks like it isn't. And you're like, I just bared my soul. It's no big deal.
You're like, no.
It's interesting when you say like, oh, I wonder how people are going to take this because it's so narrow and it's my story. But it's also very much perspective when I hear your story, because I don't relate much to, your story, but I do gather juicy little tidbits from it, in the sense of just having this anger and frustration with your mother, the same thing that I have with mine.
Yeah.
And so I wonder, have you gone through the process of forgiveness? Maybe not for her, but maybe for yourself. Have you gone through that or thought about it?
No.
Hmm.
No, I sure have not. And that would be an interesting thing to bring up in therapy. Because sometimes, like lately, I've felt like when I get ready for my appointment, I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to talk about?
Mhm.
Like, and then I feel like I'm not doing well in therapy. I'm not winning. Like,
Right.
hey, that's something to talk about.
Yeah.
But that would be a good one because it's so helpful. Like, forgiveness is for you, and
Right.
it's not really for the other person. But I don't even know if I need to. I think I might already forgive my mom,
Hmm.
but I think I need to work more on the leftover feelings that I struggle with that were a result of our relationship. And
Mm.
maybe that's where the forgiveness would come in and allowing myself a little grace.
Right.
I'm so hard on myself.
Off air, Miguel was talking about the grace that he gives his mother for certain things. And so I'm trying to balance that with my mom, but also being like, you're fucking awful as
Mm.
well. So that I don't know,
It's
maybe it's my
hard.
ego, or maybe it's pride, or maybe it's the hurt that I have in my heart where I can't get to that place just yet. I just kind of still stay at the angry, frustrated aspect of our relationship. And so I don't, like, Miguel, you sound like you have walked already that path.
Oh, 100%. I think for me, it was learning that your parents, your family can only do what they're capable of.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look back at my childhood, and I also know that I was holding my mom up to standards of, media and TV shows, because I spent so much time alone watching TV and watching movies, and being like, well, why can't I have this? Like, why can't,
Yes.
and not just like the material things, but like the, let's go outside and play ball, or let's,
Yes.
do
Come to
this.
the room. You saw me crying.
Right. And I've said this to my mom before, is that, like, my mom at the time when before I had, um what's the word, where I could like think for myself, when I was just, like, there's that difference when you're a kid and you're just doing because you just do, and then when you have conscious thought and you're like, oh, that's bad, that's good,
Yeah.
but you're just doing. And so, like, young Miguel was just a blabber. Like, everything that would come to my mind, I would just talk.
But that's also just, that wasn't a bad thing, by the way.
Right.
Just
No, it wasn't.
so
That
you
that was
know.
just me. But, like, at that moment in my mom's life, she was not ready for that,
Right.
because she was 28. She had just been sexually violated, which is how I, was conceived. She was in this relationship that she didn't like. She was working the graveyard shift for a bonding company while my grandmother was taking care of me. And she was also in her late 20s. So when you, as a human, as an adult, when I look at all of those circumstances, and when I was younger, and I'd be like, she was so mean and she would tell me to shut up, blah, blah, blah. And, like, could she have done better and differently? 100%. But we all could as humans. But at the same time, when I look at where she was in her life at that point, of course she was like, shut the fuck up and sit down. Because she was like over her head trying to
Right.
figure out how am I. And then on top of that, she had my older brother and an ex-husband who wasn't being the best to her at the time. And they had gotten into physical stuff before. So she had all of those things. And then just being a Black woman in the South, living in low income housing.
Yeah,
and,
let's not forget that part.
right, paid, less than everybody else in the business, and then having to leave me, her kid, who, I mean, she's never talked about this, but I'm sure that there was some complicated feelings because I was, conceived through rape. I'm sure there were complicated feelings when I was born, and then having to just leave me because she was a bounty hunter at the same time. So like when you look at all of those things, I can't help as a human to go like, I wish I could have hugged you and like known that and been able to be like, I'm so sorry, like that you're having to deal with all of this, but like that's life and it happens. And so I think when you think about what your parents have gone through and you have this anger and frustration towards how they treated you or how you wish they would have treated you, but you look at all the circumstances as a human of what they were going through, and it's like, damn. I mean,
Yeah.
with all of that going on, it was pretty good, actually. Like, it was pretty good.
Yeah, because they like I guess I would be called what is popular now is like gentle parenting, which is I guess kind of what I try to do without doing like the actual read a book on it, whatever.
Mhm.
But I strive to be calm when Maya is crazy because it doesn't like it both the adult and the kid can't be in a complete rage, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
who's got to be the responsible one when there's an issue between an adult and a child? Obviously the adult, because by now we should have learned how to regulate our own emotions. But in the 80s nobody did.
Right.
They were just trying to do exactly what they had seen their parents do with maybe some tweaks that they were like, well, I didn't like that, so let me just do this one thing better. And then they did that one thing better, but they didn't know how to like handle emotions. Look at all the crazy shit that your mom had to deal with.
Mhm.
And that was causing a lot of anger and self-doubt and frustration. So she's already like at the breaking point with all of that. You
Right.
add a kid and any kid, because kids are just small versions of adults who have, not learned anything yet about what to do with these big emotions that they feel.
Mhm.
You get a parent who doesn't know anything about it and a kid that's just
Mhm.
like, I'm just being a kid with big emotions. And the parent's gonna lose it on the kid. And that's they don't know better. Like, when you
Right.
know better, you do better. You don't know.
No.
I was there before I went to therapy, and I was a yeller just 'cause my mom was a yeller, and I'm like, "This is how you do it, obviously. You scream at your kid until they stop doing something, obviously."
Right.
And even before I learned anything, Maya would be so upset, and then she would be so upset at me because she's like, "You're so loud and it hurts my ears." And I'd be like, "How dare you say something about me yelling at you on top of me having to yell at you for what you're already doing?" Like, I was floored.
Right.
But she's always been really good at I don't know that she's ever been, like, afraid of me, which I love, to tell me when things are not right for her.
Mm.
And so, I'm really thankful for that actually because it helped guide me. And then in therapy, I learned, "Oh, wait, what am I doing?"
Right. And then I
So,
think it
like,
helps you
I give
speak
your
up
mom so
too.
much grace. It does.
Yeah.
It does. And take accountability because now it's not like it doesn't happen because I'm not perfect and I don't know that anyone ever will be. But the story I told on the air about that stupid watermelon, the $30 watermelon. And I said on the air, like, we had gone back and forth, Maya and I, and had a big blow up about it because it was like weeks and weeks ago. I was driving out of the dance studio and this lady is out here hogging these watermelons, and it's hard to get across the road in the traffic. I would have had to go straight across a busy 4-lane road that there's it's just traffic and traffic. I'm lucky to get a left out of there, let alone try to go all the way across and then turn around and do the thing again. And it's just stressful for me. It is. So I'm dealing with that stress. I'm sure there was probably something else going on in my personal life, with work, with whatever, and I'm already feeling a little harassed. And then it really irritates me when she just asks for something, I say no, and then she takes that as the first bargaining chip.
Mm.
She's like, "Mom, can we get a watermelon?" I'm like, "No, we're not getting a watermelon." "Mom, please, like, look at those watermelons. They look so good." I'm like, "No, Maya, we're not getting a watermelon." I'm telling you, this is exactly how it goes. Mom, I love watermelon. I love it. It's my favorite thing. I'm like, Maya, I just said I can't. And then I start to feel like I'm backed in a corner and I have to start defending myself against a 9-year-old. And I'm like, Maya, I can't do the thing across the road. There's a lot. I'm getting flustered. I'm like, there's a lot of traffic and it's just difficult. And we don't have the extra money for a watermelon right now. She's quiet and she's like, but if we just got I would pay you for the watermelon. If we just get the watermelon, like we are just in our thing. And so I don't know. She said one extra thing about like the watermelon. She's like, but please, can we just go now? We're not going to be able to do it next week. And I went, fine. I surprised myself, actually. I went, fine, we'll go. And now I'm raging.
Oh my gosh.
I have lost it. And I knew it, but I was out of control. I was like a river that I damn had broken loose. I'm screaming at her in the car. And I'm like, fine, let's just get a watermelon. I make a right out of the parking lot. And now I'm like driving dangerously because I'm mad. And she's
Chachi's on two wheels.
Obviously immediately knows she has gone too far. And I'm like, and she's like, no, Mom, no, we don't have to get the watermelon. We don't have to get it. And I'm like, oh, we're gonna get the watermelon, screaming. And she's like, no, Mom, please, no, Mom, I don't want it. And now it's terrible.
I can see that, Holly, so well too in my mind. I've seen that a few times. I can see it
when I snap and I go one over, and I'm just, no, Mom, no, I don't want it.
And then it pisses you off even more that they're saying, no, I don't want it anymore. And I'm like, you put me here.
Well,
you brought me here.
And it's not like she was even mad I don't want it anymore. She was just terrified I don't want it anymore. And so then she's like, please, please, please pull over. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Did you do donuts in the middle of the fucking street?
Holly's one of those street racers out here in Uptown on the weekends doing donuts.
She's getting that fucking watermelon.
So we do that. And then I'm like, and then I realize I'm hot. I'm like, oh my God, I do need to pull over. Like, I don't, oh my God, get your shit together, grown up. So I pull, I go, I turn left. And then it's like, fine, it's finally calming. And she's like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, no, we'll get it. And now I'm crying.
And now you're like, I'm sorry for being mad.
And then exactly right. I'm crying and I'm like, we'll get the watermelon. And she's like, I don't want it. I'm so sorry. And I'm crying and I'm like, no, give me a minute. And I'm like, I'm sorry. And I just had to sit and I'm like, and I'm therapy is in my head and I'm like, you just lost it on a 9-year-old. Like a 9-year-old got you so triggered that you almost got into an accident.
When it's like the little tiny things, because like you feel really good with therapy. You're like, man, I've done the work. I know I'm not gonna do react the same way that I've been working on not react, and then you do it.
Yes.
Even harder than the original way.
Yes. And so I sat there for a few moments and I'm like, I'm going to pull the therapy. I was like actually kind of proud of myself, but also like, how did I let it get this far? I've been in therapy for years. So I was like, Maya, I'm so sorry. That was my fault. I should not have done that. She's like, no, I kept asking and I shouldn't have asked. And I'm so sorry. I'm like, no. I said, that is my fault. I should never have gotten to that point of yelling so much. I said, what we're doing. And then in my mind, I'm like, I need to model like regulating emotions right now because that's the learning point right here. So I'm like, okay, I said, I'm going to take some deep breaths and it's not your fault. And I don't want you to feel responsible for my emotions right now. Okay. This is my issue. You're not responsible for this. This is me. I lost it and I'm going to get it back under control. Okay. I'm still crying. I'm like, I'm fine. We're probably not going to get the watermelon today though. And she's like, no.
Nope. We don't. I will never eat a watermelon for the rest of my life.
I calmed down and we had this moment and I said, come here. And I hugged her, I cuddled her and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. That was scary. I'm sorry. She's like, okay. And she's like, we just quietly drove home. And that was how like I picture any parent happening in the 80s, but without that other part.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
without the hold on a minute, let me take responsibility for what just happened because I'm the adult that is supposed to be able to handle it.
Right.
That did not exist in the 80s. And by the way, the next week she was like, "What do you think about the watermelon, by the way, Mom?" I'm like, "You know what? I think we'll get it.
Right.
I think we'll get it." Like, it was not even worth all that. So I
Right.
was like, "You know what? I'm like, I need to pick my battles." And like, we had another conversation about how when I say no and you keep pushing and I keep saying no, you need to take the no. But also, in the grand scheme of life, like, let me get this kid a damn watermelon. Now, did I think it was going to be $30? No. And immediately
That's another fucking,
when it was
that's another
$30,
episode.
the only reason that because I was like, I'm scared to tell this woman no. I was like, the only thing that makes it okay is that this is going to be a great radio story.
Yes. That's what I'm talking about.
So that's how my watermelon story went. But in parenting, like, you're going to lose your shit.
Right.
You're just going to lose your shit. As a mom, you are going to lose it. And it's just normal. But it's the turnaround and the modeling, the apology and the accountability for your kid that I think is going to make for a better generation to come.
100%. I mean, I think about the time that like my mom lost it on me one time. I've told the story before where I think I was in probably the 2nd or 3rd grade, and the teacher would come to the car every day and be like, "Miss Jackson, Miguel keeps talking." And I want to be like, "We'll get under control." And then that one day I had 3 check marks, and the teacher came and they were like, "Miss Jackson," and my mom said, "What?" Smacked me right across the face. And I still, like, I don't remember any of that part. I just remember the smack and just being like, "Whoo."
Like, it just shocks you. Like, you are shocked.
Yeah.
Right. Because like my mom, like I didn't get spanked very often because I was pretty much an obedient child, and
Same.
except when I was in school because I couldn't shut my mouth.
Well,
Um,
look at what we do.
right. And the teacher was like, because mind you, this is like early 90s, like 91, 92.
Yeah.
The teacher was like, "I'm so sorry, Miss Jackson. I'm bye." And like walked
Then
away.
the teacher was like, "I'm not gonna."
Right. And like, and I'm pretty sure my mom probably like very similarly, like probably cried on the way home because like she didn't spank me.
Yeah, and you do feel like
there's
parents
regret.
do feel bad. There is
Right.
regret. Like, you immediately are filled with like, what did I just do to my child?
Right. But that's the difference between going through therapy, now that we are doing that and talking about it, it's out in the open, as opposed to back then. And she was, now we talked about it and we laughed about it. But it's like, all right, if this were to take place now, there would be, because at that time we had just moved to Denver. She was having relationship issues. She knew that at some point she had moved me across the country to this strange land from Atlanta to Denver,
Yeah.
and she was going to leave this crazy man. Rest his soul, he passed away recently. Yeah,
he was crazy.
Yeah, it was
That's the guy with the
crazy, but it
dog
was-
too.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
dog
that was
guy.
the same
Okay.
one that had the
That guy.
dog. It's
Oh,
fine.
sorry.
No, it's fine. No,
You know what
rest
I
in
mean?
peace. Rest in
Rest in
peace.
peace.
Rest in
But like,
peace.
fuck
Rest
that
in
person.
peace.
Rest in what you deserve.
Exactly. No, rest in
Oh,
peace. He was a good man. He
okay.
later in life he came back because
I don't believe in that.
he was young. He was in the military
I mean,
too.
okay.
And
And
he
then
was a
he
single
got
dad.
Probably didn't
trauma.
have any mental health
Right,
help
so-
either.
exactly.
So,
So-
okay, let's give
Yeah,
people
that's not fine.
grace.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Listen,
exactly.
grace. And so now, all of that was happening, and knowing that she was going to have to leave this man that had moved us across the country and find housing with this low-paying job with her son that she had brought out here when everyone told her not to. And now she's like, "I love this man." And so you have all that going on, and then every day the teacher for her child that's normally very obedient, very much oh yes, I'll listen, but for some reason that week I couldn't shut my mouth. Of course she was like, "This
That's it.
is the straw, and
Yeah.
here's how it breaks."
Boom.
So it's like, of course that happened, but it's like
Yeah.
grace.
Yeah.
Now we know
Grace.
better.
Now we know better. Yes.
All right.
And thank you, Janelle Fountain on YouTube, who said, "I so needed to hear you today, Holly." Thank you. Sometimes I just feel like I'm speaking to the void, but like, it helps. So I feel good helping other people too. So thank you.
Any final words before we are done for today?
Feel however you want to feel about the fact that Mother's Day is on Sunday. You're not wrong.
I'm still working on it.
No, you're not wrong. However it is that
I'm
you
still
feel.
work on it.
How do you
It's the
feel
work.
for this Mother's Day, Producer Kelvin?
Conflicted. This is the
Yeah.
first time where I'm not going to be forced to hang out with my mom because I physically can't.
Yeah.
But it's still very strange. I felt like I didn't have the right tools with this last therapist to really guide me through this forgiveness process that I do want to start. But what he was telling me, I was just like, I've reached my peak with you, and that's okay because I feel good about myself. But maybe I just need to chill for a little bit, find somebody else that can give me some good guidance on it. And I just don't have that. And so that's why I've kind of been like, you know, getting little tidbits from people and their stories and how they got to this forgiveness place. So I feel weird about it. I'm on and off talking with my mom. So
Are you going to call her on Mother's Day?
yeah, I think so. Yeah. We'll say happy Mother's Day and keep it short.
Yeah. And that's okay. The fact that you're going to call is admirable. May I recommend finding a therapist that can do inner child work with you, like reparenting your inner child, and maybe even just some parts work where you can go back and find, like, if you have a particular feeling that keeps coming up, figure out where you first started feeling that feeling and then talk to that version of yourself. And forewarning, this is heavy and you will sob. You speak to that part of yourself, like 6-year-old Kelvin or 10-year-old or 12-year-old, as the grown, I can handle this, Kelvin, and reparent that person.
Right.
That might help a lot with your mom. It's hard though. It's
Yeah,
not for
it
the
sounds like it'd
not
be
for the
hard.
faint.
Or we'll find someone and do it on the podcast.
Oh wow.
Crazy bitch.
That'll be
Crazy
real good.
bitch.
Actually, you know what you should do, Holly? That's how you should kick off your mental health podcast. Is you should have Kelvin on with the therapist, and you're just sort of like when we have Stacy on, and you just sort of like butt in every now and then to ask questions.
Oh my God. I
will
don't know
be your-
any therapist that would do that willingly in front of a crowd because they
Listen,
know how deep it is.
If
Yeah,
you
bitch,
have
the fuck, that's a lot of
therapists
trauma.
that'll do it for TV and like a net, girl, you tell them, hey, you know, if we get any profits, you know, we'll bring you in. They'll do it.
Girl.
I have been called like 3 times now. I gotta go see what the hell's going on. My person keeps calling me. Something is amiss.
All I'm gonna say as we leave is for Mother's Day this year, I didn't send any gifts because I was told by my husband that the past few Mother's Days for our mothers, I have sent my favorite company, Framebridge, pictures.
Okay.
And Abe said,
Enough.
maybe they don't need pictures. And I said,
maybe they don't want anymore.
fine.
But you're not sending anything?
No, no, they're getting phone calls.
Just send the pictures.
No,
Just
it's
send the
fine.
pictures
No,
Give
it's
him a
fine.
phone call. You funny.
No, it's fine.
Just make him laugh a little bit.
Pictures.
He's buying a house.
But you know who is getting a gift for Mother's Day this year? Holly.
Oh,
We sent you a gift this year.
You did.
Oh,
That's so sweet.
Yeah, it should be arriving today or tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so happy Mother's Day.
Well, thank you.
I was at Trader Joe's and I asked Oscar, my fiance, if we should celebrate Miguel for Mother's Day. And he's like, why? And he's like, because he's mama.
Yeah.
And he was not about
Mama.
it.
Oh my God,
I
please. I
would've.
would love it. Give me a
Sunday, let's have
card.
dinner.
Yes, I love it. I'll cook. I love it.
Yeah, you be the mama.
All right, Mom. All right, Producer Kelvin, what's your information, your social media?
At Kelvin Live. I'm on TikTok, Twitter, but I really just use Instagram, to be quite honest. And if you're on PlayStation, we should play together as Bussy Killer.
Holly, what's your Bussy Killer name?
What? No, Radio Holly on TikTok. Kind of wish it was Horse Girl. Radio Holly on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all the things. And thank you to all the people wishing me happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to you as well.
Yes, happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers here. And if it is a difficult one for you, no matter what your situation, we are giving you love as well.
Yep.
My name is Miguel Fuller. You can find me on all social media networks and also add me on Be Real. Bye.
Miguel and Holly Uncensored.
Catch it on the iHeartRadio app or anywhere you listen to podcasts.